Hi, it's Maija here with my birthday book haul. I bought 3 books and 1 comic for myself for my birthday, but I'm also going to go through all the books that I bought in November and December. Just in general, not for my birthday. So let's start with the birthday books. My birthday is actually at the start of the month, but one of these books took so long to get to me that I am doing the book haul now. So that book was How Long Till Black Future Month by N.K. Jemisin. This was the first time I ordered something from Wordery, and it wasn't that great of an experience. It wasn't their fault. They had some trouble with the supplier getting the books to them. So I got this like 3 weeks or a bit more after the release date. I ordered it a couple of days before the release date. I thought it would be at my doorstep at the week of my birthday or somewhere along those lines, but it really wasn't. But it's finally here, and this is of course N.K. Jemisin's newest. This is a collection of her short stories. I have only read 2 stories from this before. I have read The City Born Great and Red Dirt Witch. I really liked Red Dirt Witch. Let's look at the first sentence of the very first story, which is The Ones Who Stay and Fight. I think this is the reply or in conversation with the ones who walk away from Omelas. But the first sentence of that is, "It's the day of good birds in the city of Amhelat." Then there's the 2 birthday books that already arrived earlier, and the first of those is Stannis Lee's Knight's Master, and this is the first book in this dark fantasy series called Tales from the Flat Earth. And I don't know much about it, I just wanted to read something from Stannis Lee. I wanted to read something from her for the longest time. And the first sentence from this is, "One night Azran, Prince of Demons, one of the Lords of Darkness, took on him, for amusement, the shape of a great black eagle." And then the last birthday book I ordered was Sparrow Hill Road by Seanan McGuire. This is the first book in this series, which is about this ghost girl who is sort of an urban legend. And I was interested in this one because the second book came out, The Girl in the Green Silk Gown, and it looked so interesting. I hadn't heard about this book before, so I had to order the first one. The sort of prologue starts, there is nothing more human than the ghost story, but the first actual chapter, I think, starts, there's this vocabulary word, linear. Then the comic that I bought for myself from ComiXology on my birthday was Delicious in Dungeon Volume 2 by Ryoko Kui, and this is about a group of adventurers, sort of D&D-like group, who go in this fantasy dungeon and they cook and eat the monsters that they kill because they have run out of food, and it's hilarious. Then there's the rest of the books that I bought in November and December. I bought some used books. The first that I found was Tanya Huff's Confederation of Valor, which is a bind-up of the first 2 books in her science fiction series. They're called Valor's Choice and The Better Part of Valor. I read a fantasy book from Tanya Huff, I think it was this year, was it last year? Anyway, it was called The Firestone, if I remember right, and I quite liked it, so I wanted to try out something else from her. I bought this one from a thrift store, and the first sentence of the prologue is, "A writer and philosopher of the late 20th century once said, 'Space is big.'" Then the first sentence of the actual first chapter starts with a word that I'm not quite sure how to say. It's written a bit differently than I've seen. And if it was in French, I would say réveil, but I think it's a military term and it's something like réveillé. I don't know. Réveillé was not the best thing to have reverberating through one's skull after a night of too much and too little in various combinations. And then there's 2 other used books that I bought from Better World Books, but those haven't actually arrived. But I wanted to do this book haul when the How Long Till Black Future Month arrived, so I'm still waiting for these 2. But they are on their way. The first of them is Blood and Iron by Elizabeth Bear, and then there's A Whiskey and Water by Elizabeth Bear, and these are 2 novels in the Promethean Age series. I know this series has magicians and fairies, and I think the first 2 books are set in New York City, and probably fairy as well, but then there are more like books in this series, and I think some of them are set in Queen Elizabeth's court. So I'm pretty interested in how the whole series goes, or if they are like loosely connected novels with some of the same themes or something like that. But anyway, I ordered those because Faye. Then I've bought 1 book from a Kindle Sale that is An Alchemy of Masks and Mirrors by Curtis Craddock. And this one I think is a steampunk thing, and the setting is these ships or city ships that float in the air where people live. The reason why this raised my interest was because there's the main character, Princess Isabel, and she has a loyal musketeer. So I had to hear the word musketeer, and then I wanted this book. The first sentence of this is, "Jean-Claude clung to the St. Marie's guardrail with one hand and to his tether with the other." Then there's a bunch of free books that I've gotten one way or another during these past 2 months. There's a Doomsday book by Connie Willis, which I got from the library. It is in quite a bad condition. I got it for free from there. So, like, I didn't borrow it from the library. They were getting rid of it. So this one is the first in her science fiction series about time travelers. And the first sentence is, Mr. Dunworthy opened the door to the laboratory and his spectacles promptly steamed up. Then something that I'm super excited for, I have Sword Heart by T. Kingfisher or Ursula Vernon, and I just recently became her patron like after the summer this year, and I forgot that if you are her patron, she basically gives you her ebooks. And I always buy her books whenever one comes out. I didn't even know she was writing this. So this is set in the same world as her Clockwork Boys duology, and it's a high fantasy world. And the first sentence of this is, I just read it for the first time myself. It is, Halla of Rutgershow had just inherited a great deal of money and was therefore spending her evening trying to figure out how to kill herself. Then I picked up the Emperor's Edge collection by Lindsay Baroker. This one has the first 3 books in this series. I think it's steampunk. And I had earlier, well, like a couple of years ago maybe, picked up for free the first book, which is also called The Emperor's Edge. And I haven't read that one, but I thought that this was for free. If I enjoy that first one, then I have the next 2 also. The first sentence of the first book is Corporal Amaranthi Lockton Paste. Then, because I recently read a classic short horror story, The Willows by Algernon Blackwood, I wanted to read something else from him, and I picked up The Wendigo. I got that one as a free ebook from Project Gutenberg, and the first sentence of that is, I think it's gonna be long because the first sentence of The Willows, if I remember right, was very long. It was like a description. But here we go. A considerable number of hunting parties were out that year without finding so much as a fresh trail. For the moose were uncommonly shy, and the various Nimrods returned to the bosoms of their respective families with the best excuses the facts of their imaginations could suggest. Okay. And the final book in this haul is the ebook for The Armored Saint by Mike Cole. This is a Tour.com book that was given away for free in their newsletter, so I downloaded it. I don't know anything about it except that it is high fantasy, I believe. The first sentence of this is, Eloise took her father's hand, squeezing it hard. I noticed that it was about 200 pages, so I don't know if they're still calling it a Tour.com novella, because 200 pages, I think it's already a short novel. But that was all that I have bought. I think this had 6 physical books that weren't on my I'll show you all of my TBR video, so that's 6 more books for my TBR reading project. I think that brings the count up to 82 books, but I will make a video at the start of my Reads and Receipts project, so that will be in January. Well, I'll give you the final number, because I might have read something of my TBR at that point. Hopefully, a couple of things. So that was my birthday book haul and my November and December book haul. Let's talk more in the comments. Have you read any of these books? Do you also have How Long Till Black Future Month, and how excited are you? But that's all from me for now. I'll see you in my next video.